It was late autumn in rural Idaho, where the wind carried the scent of pine and the promise of winter. The river, once calm and golden with the light of summer, now ran dark and cold, its waters swollen by the early snowmelt from the mountains. Near that river stood a horse, a spotted APPALOOSA, old, weak, and trembling. He wasn't moving, he just stood there, staring at the flowing water, as if waiting for something, or someone, to come back. His ribs were showing, his coat was dull, and yet there was something powerful in his stillness, something sacred. The townsfolk had begun to whisper about him.
That horse has been standing by the Clearwater River for days. He won't leave, he's waiting for his master.
Chapter 1. The Man Who Loved an APPALOOSA. Months before the river turned cold, there was a man named Elias Turner, a quiet rancher with hands cracked from decades of work and a heart still open to small miracles. He had one companion, his APPALOOSA, Dakota. Elias found him as a wild colt, half-starved, with a coat of white and brown patches like paint strokes on snow. He raised him by hand, fed him when others said he wouldn't survive. And in time, Dakota became more than just a horse. He became part of Elias's soul. The two were inseparable. At dawn, they'd ride through the fog of the valley, Elias humming old cowboy songs his father once sang. At dusk, they'd walk along the Clearwater River, their silent ritual at the end of each day.
"If one day I don't come back, boy," Elias would whisper, patting Dakota's neck, "you just wait for me by the river. You know I'll find you."
Chapter 2. The day. Everything changed. That winter came early, the kind that didn't ask for permission. The snow fell heavy and the wind screamed across the valley. Elias rode into town for supplies, bundled in his old sheepskin coat, Dakota trotting beside him. On the way back, the storm thickened, snow blinding, wind cutting like glass. As they crossed a narrow wooden bridge, a branch cracked in the distance, spooking Dakota. The horse slipped. Elias lost his grip. And the next thing he knew, the bridge gave way beneath them. The world turned white. Dakota struggled, gasping, his body half submerged in the frozen current. Elias tried to pull the reins, but the river was too strong. In the chaos, the current tore them apart.
"Dakota, hold on, boy, hold on!"
But the river didn't listen. When rescuers found Elias 2 days later, he was unconscious near the opposite shore, alive, but broken. Dakota was gone, swept away by the current. Everyone said the same thing.
The horse couldn't have survived that river.
Elias didn't answer. He just stared out the hospital window toward the direction of the water and whispered,
"He knows where to wait."
Chapter 3. The waiting days turned to weeks. Then, one morning, a hunter passing along the riverbank saw movement by the trees. There he was, the APPALOOSA, thin, shivering, but alive. He wasn't eating the grass. He wasn't wandering. He was just standing, facing the river. Every morning the hunter returned. The horse was still there. Every night when snow fell and the wind howled, the horse never left his post. Word spread quickly through the small town. Some said it was instinct, that the horse was lost, confused, disoriented. But the old ones, the ones who had seen things that can't be explained, whispered something else.
"He's waiting, like his master told him to."
Chapter 4. The Farmer's Return. Weeks later, when Elias finally recovered enough to walk, he returned to the river. His body was weak. His leg was still wrapped in bandages, but his heart, that was stronger than ever. As he approached the riverbank, the wind calmed. The trees seemed to bow. Then, through the mist, he saw it. The familiar pattern of spots. The curve of a neck that once rested against his shoulder. Dakota. The horse turned slowly, recognizing the sound of footsteps, and for the first time in weeks, he moved, stumbling toward Elias, his legs trembling with every step. Elias fell to his knees. He wrapped his arms around the horse's neck, tears freezing on his cheeks.
"You waited, boy. You really waited."
Dakota leaned his head against Elias's chest and closed his eyes, as if saying, "I told you I would." Chapter 5. The Long Night. That night, the snow fell heavier than before. Elias built a small shelter by the barn and stayed beside Dakota, feeding him handfuls of hay and whispering stories until his voice cracked. The horse was weak, far too weak to stand for long. The cold had done its damage. Every breath sounded like it might be his last. Still, Elias refused to leave him.
You waited for me, he said softly, and now I'll wait for you.
All through the night, Elias kept the fire alive. He sang the old cowboy songs, the same ones he used to hum when Dakota was just a colt. Outside, the storm howled like a chorus of ghosts. Inside, there was silence, and the soft rhythm of two beings who had found each other again. Chapter 6. The River's Promise. When morning came, the storm had passed. A pale light spread across the valley, turning the river silver again. Dakota lay still, his breathing shallow but steady. Elias sat beside him, his eyes half closed, exhausted but peaceful. Then something changed. A sound. The APPALOOSA moved his head, lifted it weakly, and looked toward the river one last time. For a long moment, neither man nor beast moved. Then, slowly, Dakota let out one soft breath and rested his head back down. Elias knew. He didn't cry. He just stroked the horse's mane and whispered,
You kept your promise, my friend, and I'll keep mine.
He buried Dakota near the river, the place where they always walked at dusk. He carved a small wooden sign that read, He waited. Epilogue. The Legend of the Waiting Horse. Years passed. The farm changed hands. The river changed course. But every spring, when the snow melted and the waters ran high, travelers would sometimes see something strange by the bank. A shape in the mist, white and brown, standing still, facing the current.
That's the spirit of the APPALOOSA that waited by the river for days. The one who kept his promise, even when the world forgot.
And the old folks would tell the same story, their voices soft and reverent.